8:43.
A little something for the weekend with Sam Hunt.
Sam Hunt's back once again with a little something. Good morning, Sam.
Oh, hello, Wammo. I like the I like the sound of the trong.
Yeah, quite cool, isn't it? Like it sets a spatial tone.
A spatial tone. Well, it puts me in a spatial tone for the weekend. For the weekend.
How's your week been?
It's been great. I'm sitting in front of a beautiful, beautiful photograph. Cluck, cluck, cluck. Grandparent here, Grand Sam speaking.
Oh.
Of my son Tom and this little beautiful baby in his arms. Yeah, it's great. It's great. I just had the printer because my son Tom sent me the photograph last night on the emailer.
Yeah.
And so I suddenly thought this morning, rather than just having it on the screen, of course I can print it.
Yeah.
So I printed it, and it's looking great.
Oh.
I don't know whether it fades fast, but then I can just print it again, so that's okay.
And
yeah.
when are you going to be able to hold him?
January. I'm going to get down to Wellington in January. I've got some shows. I've got a few shows to do down there. One, in fact, in the Dell, which is right across the road from where my as yet to be named grandson resides. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. In the meantime, I've been rediscovering yet again the old rediscovery, but certain occasions lead you to certain works. And with the Pike Stream mining disaster, and disaster on disaster, it brought to mind a poem which I'd always admired greatly when it first came out by a New Zealand poet, very much New Zealand poet, Pepero Holman.
Yeah.
And my first contact with him was actually back in the 90s. I'd agreed to do something which I don't normally do, and that's be the judge of a poetry competition, which, I just sort of turns the idea. But on this occasion, I was pleased I accepted it because the standard of some of the poems from Whitireia, the writing school out in Porirua, I think they had organised it. Anyway. But Pepero Holman came through with a poem about his father, which I love, and just later, more recently, he grew up in naval bases. He's a year younger than me. He was born Jeffrey. He was born in 1947, and grew up. His dad had jobs in the Navy, and then later in the mining towns of the West Coast. Anyway, suppose a few years ago now, he wrote this poem, which I'd like to tell you, by Jeffrey Pepero Holman.
Yep.
It's called Inferno, or and subtitled Strongman Mine, 1967. He tells me he took an ex-wife of an ex-wife's father was killed in the Strongman, and they went down on this occasion together. Inferno. When Dave Hibbs said he has take us down to Green's Dip, Virgil came in as an engineer. It's not every day you can find a guide to show you around a working graveyard. I didn't see a single soul in torment, but every creaking roof beam dripped a cry. I kept my panic station by pretending hard, my old pretense I was a man, my death not yet. He showed us vast theatres of oblong space, like cavities in the dead black teeth of giants. We heard of rats like terriers and of men like moles who had to be bred to stand it. To get to the lip of the tomb, you had to bend low and crawl to the junction of roof and floor. A moaning wind as chill as a widow's keening sucked the light from chaos with its screaming. Down that slope in the void lay miners buried, far from help and the findings of inquiries. I filled my heart with as many tears as I could possibly carry, and saving them for life, skedaddled. In the pub in Donnelly, knocking back beer after beer, celebrating a visit to hell with a man who works there.
Crikey.
Yeah, what do you reckon, eh?
Yeah.
No, bloody marvellous. He's great. And I love his poem. It's an incredibly powerful poem. He's written it in sort of quite loose, but couplets. Yeah, in couplets.
Couplets?
Yeah. Two-line verses. You know?
Yeah.
Here's this other one of his. This was the one that I gave first prize back in '96 at that Pepero poetry competition, of which I was the judge. And apparently Jeffrey tells me that his being judged as the best poem, which it certainly was a bit like a Rip Van Winkle experience. He started writing again, having written back in the 1970s. And I gather he'd stopped. Maybe other things had taken over. So when he came up with this poem, and then this poem won the competition, I think it's a great poem. One of the great father poems, Jeffrey Pepero Holman, and this is his poem called As Big as a Father, which was also the title of a book that he published in 2002, As Big as a Father. I lost him the first time before I could grasp who he was, what he did, where he fitted with her. And it always seemed so dumb how to lose something as big as a father. I lost him the next time in the running Navy, who took him and kept right on taking. And it wasn't my mistake losing a vessel as big as a father. I lost him a third time in a ship in a bottle that rocked him and shook out his pockets, and no kind of magic could slip me inside with my father. I lost him at home when floorboards subsided, as he said and she said, went this way and that way, and dead in the water. I couldn't hang on to my father. The last time I lost him for good. The night and the day, the breath he was breathing, and death's head torpedoes blew out of the water the skiff of my father. And he's good.
Yeah, really good. I can see why they won the competition. Great
poem, eh?
Yeah.
What a poem to write about your old man.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Yeah. So it's been great. I'm looking forward. Actually, I've lost the book As Big as My Father, but I'm negotiating to get a copy. So thank you, Jeffrey Pepero Holman. And let me maybe just slip in a couple very new poems myself. Could I?
We have plenty of time.
Have we?
Yeah.
Here are a couple real family pieces. Mother, this is my mother. I'm talking to, who died in 2002. Mother, around 6 last night of a new moon, your first great-grandchild was born. Then this, at 3 a.m., awake to a panic attack that I'd forgotten to tell you. Your year's dead, I'm that many years older. Every so often, though, not through death, but through birth we meet. That's what I take it to mean, and why it was a full moon, and why it was a new moon. And the second one's even shorter. Mother, the moon was new in the sky the night your great-grandson was born. You know that for sure. Since then, the moon is 4 nights older, as is the boy. So that's a couple of family pieces.
Yeah, nice.
Very fitting. Family pieces, but nice to write. And just to finish off, one for the weekend, because there's been rain. There's been rain, and of course, being in the north here, one of the parts of New Zealand that have been described as drought. Well, we had a slow rain yesterday, not enough to repair the damage, but certainly put water on the ground.
And how's your tank?
Oh, good. But that's because I have I have a secret source. But here's a little poem one for the weekend, Wammo, which is called "Rain But Not Enough." And I don't know where it came from, apart from the fact that I made it up. Rain, but not enough to settle the dust. I think of you often, sometimes forget you. Forget how you ever taught me to turn steel to rust, to busted trust. But we go on, living our lives as well as we're able, dodging the knives, picking up whatever falls from the table. Rain, but not enough to settle the dust.
Nice.
That's a happy little number for the weekend.
I think so. I think we're going to get more rain over the weekend.
You reckon more rain, more rain, weatherman?
Yeah.
What's the great Bob Dylan line? You don't need a weatherman to look through the window. Hey, what do you reckon?
Perfect.
Well, mate, look, thanks very much, and you have a good weekend, all of you.
Yeah, thanks.
Cheers,
Sam. See ya.
That was a little something for the weekend with Sam Hunt, only on Kiwi